We are continuing to go down the list of UConn opponents and talk with their head coaches. So joining me today is the head coach at Stonehill, Kraus. So, Coach, welcome to the podcast.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Hey, excited to see Stonehill back on the schedule. I know last year was the big opening game against UConn, not only for UConn fans excited to tip off the season there, but for you and your program to make that transition up to D1. Looking back quickly, how was that first year in D1 for you guys?
It was fun. A whole new experience, obviously for our team, our program, our alumni. But I think, we kind of hit the ground running a little bit and jumping into league play halfway through showed that we belonged and we were, really competitive team and had some really good players to, in our program and to go play against some other teams. But it happened quick, I'll tell you that much. And I think opening the season at UConn, at you guys, we found out very quick what the bar is and the level that this is the top of the top and the cream of the crop right off the bat. So we learned, what a national champion level team looks like on night one, opening night when the ball got tipped off. So just a tremendous year, great experience for us, and excited to continue our program moving forward.
I feel like we're seeing a decent amount of teams over the past number of years make that jump into D1. As you look back on last year and look towards the future, what do you think was the biggest challenge that stood out to you in making that transition and joining the D1 ranks?
I think just from a basketball standpoint, the size, the physicality, and just you go through, especially at this level in the NEC at the low major level, playing, top level teams, the blue bloods, and teams that just are overwhelming with size, physicality, speed, and talent. And it's different than what we had faced at the Division II level, where we were one of the elite programs and one of the top teams in the NE10, but also across the country we felt. And you now go just play a higher tier level. And but I think it teaches you a lot, where you learn about your group through a lot of that grind and those challenging games, and it really prepares you for your own league. I think behind the scenes, there's a lot more to it at this level. There's a lot more that, that we infrastructure wise are getting in place to sustain success or sustain our ability to do it at this level. It's just different than Division II. It's the whole you don't know what you don't know element. And I think over the last 12 months where we kind of got our feet wet and learned what it takes a little bit. Now we're building towards, having a consistent Division I program.
So last year, first year, take me through what the process has been like of putting these non-conference schedules together. I know this year you're playing UConn again, but you've also got a game against Kentucky. You've got some other great mid-majors on the schedule. What's your process like for putting these non-conference schedules together for your team?
Well, I mean, you want to first off try to find as many competitive games as you can, to try to find games where you can compete and hopefully win. We've also looked at it where just never been able to do this before as a Division II program, and second year of it, there's an excitement and the ability to go play at Kentucky, to play UConn, to play. We're at Rutgers this year. We're at Miami. You could have only hoped to do that with an exhibition prior. And now I think we're trying to give our players, our alumni, our school, this opportunity to be on a different stage and different, level, where the national television games that were on ESPN, the SEC network, the ACC, like that would not have happened before. So I think just, using that to help our program and help our school is part of what we're doing. But we want to experience, these games and just give our players an experience to remember it, but also have the opportunity to compete and try to go win games. We're not hiding from anyone. We're not afraid to play anyone. We're excited to play everybody, and like last year in the opener UConn, we knew we were completely overmatched, but there was such an excitement. Let's go play these guys. Let's go see what it's like. And now, we're playing two Final Four teams from last year, obviously the national champs again. We're going to be at venues that these guys have only watched on TV, but it's a tremendous opportunity, and I think you just you're putting it together. Let's go play those teams that you want to play, but also go try to find some good competitive games for your program to build into league play.
So looking now to this season, we're just about a little over a week till you'll play UConn. How are you feeling about your team at this point, heading into the season?
So we're compared to last year, we're a lot younger. We just don't have the experience that we had last year. We graduated 4 players, lost 5 players off of last year's team, and I think for us, we're really looking at this non-conference schedule that we just got to continue to learn and we got to continue to grow game to game. We had a group last year that once we went through our non-conference schedule, we finished tied for second in the NEC. We had a chance to win the league. But we're an older, more experienced team in our program and knowing our terminology, our style of play, and things like that. And I think this schedule for November, December, it's going to show us a lot of who we are. And I think we're going to really grow and we will be a different team come January than we are right now. And like as we obviously getting ready for UConn in a week, like we'll have 2 games under our belt where last year it was the opener at UConn, and we're at least going to, our guys are going to be a little more in the fire and entrenched to, okay, this is what it's like. And we have a lot of guys that have just not played at this level before or played limited minutes at just a different situations, but it's going to be a continued growth and learning process for these guys. And I think, obviously UConn, they're still a top 4 or 5 in the country and that good. And Donovan and all these guys, like it's a total different level to what we are. But I hope we can, we're going to just try to go compete and play as tough and physical as we can and try to just give them everything we have. And same thing, our opener at GW, just try to show a little bit of who we are and who our program is, but just continue to try to learn and grow with our team right now.
As we get ready for this matchup, UConn fans always like to, be as knowledgeable as they can. Can you take us through your roster a little bit in terms of, some guys, UConn fans should keep their eyes on in that game next Saturday?
Yeah. So, our returning, our all conference player, Max Zagorowski, who was 3rd-team all league last year. He's a preseason all conference nominee right now. Max, I think, was 13 or 14 points a game last year. He's honestly one of the top shooters in the country and in the NEC, but also, he's just that good of a shooter. So he's going to get the focus of a lot of scouting reports everywhere we go, where people are going to try to take him away. We brought in a transfer point guard, Tony Felder, who had a really good freshman year at VMI. And Tony, we're going to put the ball in his hands and let him play and, kind of be in our system. He's a quick little point guard that can get to the paint and create. Cool thing for UConn. He and Donovan Klingon have grown up together. They played AAU together for the Spartans. So they are best friends and excited to be on the floor together and going against each other. But you can watch those too. Just, if you go back, you see pictures of them as kids and through high school playing. Pano Pavlidis, who is a transfer for us, who came over from Hartford. He played at Hartford last year as a grad transfer, who's going to be a part of it for us. Thatcher Stone was one of our guys who was a starter for us last year. We've got Jackson Benigni, who's from Connecticut and is a diehard UConn fan, with now the exception of one night a year almost. He grew up a Huskies fan and is just he actually redshirted last year, was on our roster and didn't get to play coming off of surgery, and now is healthy and will be in the mix. And I think we've got 4 freshmen that are really talented: Safon Triplett, Austin Abrams, Louis Simona, who played at St. Thomas More in Connecticut for Jerry Quinn, and Todd Brogna, who's from Worcester and is really close with Caravan. They're childhood friends and stuff. So there's a lot of connections between the 2 schools and programs and players. But so we've got a couple 3 transfers, 4 freshmen, with some returners who, are back to help our program grow.
I'm going to take a quick break from the interview to tell you about my friends at Martin Rosol's Meats. This 4th-generation Connecticut family business produces kielbasa, hot dogs, sausages, and deli meats using Martin Rosol's very own original recipes. Their products can be found in grocery stores, delis, restaurants, and hot dog stands throughout the state. And if you're looking for your fill right away, check out their retail store in New Britain. For more information, visit martinroselsinc.com and go support a UConn fan-owned business. And now, back to the interview. I know you talked a little bit about the opportunity for playing UConn, but as you're going down your roster there and mentioning all the local kids and the connections there, how cool is it to give them the opportunity to go and play in a game like this?
It totally is. When you pull the curtains back behind the scenes, when I mentioned to our players this summer that we were going to go play UConn, the excitement on their faces. And I know guys are pulling out their phone, texting their friends, Tony texts Don, like things like that. And you try as a coach, you want to win, you want to be competitive, but I think ultimately we want to give our kids an experience that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. And playing games like this, like last year, we have alums that, hey, I played against boom, like that. Like that's where these guys are going to take lifelong memories. And our hope as coaches is that let's be competitive and try to go win and try to compete. But you want to do right by your players and your kids to, help them remember things and be set up for success down the road.
I know we're primarily talking UConn here, but later in the season, you're going to be making a few more trips back to Connecticut. You got Central and Sacred Heart in the NEC. How are you feeling about the conference heading into this year?
I mean, I think it's going to be, really, really competitive again. Sacred Heart is picked to win the league. I think Central is picked second. Our hope is, as we grow through our non-conference schedule, is to be really competitive and right there in the mix. I think we're going to have some opportunities to do that. Once January and NEC play rolls around, there's, Sacred Heart. I think is one of the most experienced, oldest teams in the country. I think they're a top 6 or 7 team based on the overall experience, and that's just not who we are right now. But I think Merrimack College, who's in the NEC, they won our league last year. They did not win a Division I game in the non-conference schedule, and went on to win the league. And just watching those guys, where the experience that their younger guys got last year, they grew up through the fall. They grew up and became, experienced college players come January. So when we get around to play Central and Sacred Heart, that's our hope, that we're going to be older, more mature, and just more aware after we go, play at UConn, play at Kentucky, play at Miami, at Rutgers, that's going to really season us for league play.
Does it give you and your team confidence seeing what Fairleigh Dickinson from your league went out and did last year in the NCAA tournament, showing that, teams from the NEC can go out there and compete with these power teams? I'm almost not even out there.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it absolutely does. I think it gives, everybody across the country at the low major level that on any given night, good players are good players, wherever they are. And we split, like we beat FDU last year. They beat us at our place. We beat them at theirs. So, our group last year felt, whether could we have done that? I don't know, but our guys were confident. And yeah, I think it shows players at any level, with what FDU did, with what UMBC did years back, beating Virginia, that if you play hard, you compete, and you're going to give yourselves an opportunity no matter who you're playing.
You mentioned that this team that you've got for this year is a younger team. What are some of the keys with dealing with a younger team like you have this year as you try to build this team up for success, as you proceed through the season and into future seasons as well?
I think one of the ones that we've talked about as a staff is just mentally staying the course, just trying to keep that positivity and keep that energy going in the right direction. I think it's hard for young guys when they don't have immediate success to, stay with it, stay with the process, enjoy the process, where they could be deterred or just frustrated and a little bit too much, where they take away from, what the overall bigger picture is. We're really focused just on details with these guys defensively. I think that's one of the biggest things where, you got to get them to a level to communicate and to be able to follow your game plan and your own strategies, and to stay with that night in and night out, or even practice to practice, where it's different at the college level, and the caliber of player and caliber of teams you're about to go up against, you have to be locked in for an entire 40 minutes or an entire hour to 2-hour practice. And with young guys, it's hard to get them there. It's just you don't know what you don't know, and experience is the best teacher, that they've got to get thrown in the fire and just go figure it out. And we're about to do that. But I think just kind of keeping them with it, trying to have them stay the course and just build game to game, week to week, for the full season for that.
I'll wrap with this one for you. I know you're a Stonehill alum, and I feel like it's got to be pretty cool to not only coach your alma mater, but get to lead them through the transition that you've led them through. What's that been like for you, and getting to be a part of something like that?
It's special. It honestly is. Like I look at where my alumni emails, our alumni chats, the text messages. I'm an alum. Like I become a fan. I become a part of one of, my best friends and former teammates and mentors that looking at what we're doing. And it's exciting. Like when I send an email or we send a national TV broadcast graphic out to everyone, it's really neat to see. And to have the opportunity sitting where I am, it's I don't take it lightly. I try to work as hard as I possibly can, because just being fortunate to do this. And I get a lot of texts and a lot of messages and grief from friends that I played with, that the jokes behind the scenes, but it's really neat to be a part of it, and to just be fortunate to be in charge, and to be with this program, because I love Stonehill. It offered me an opportunity to grow up and play and have a career, and here I am now trying to give back every single day to our next grouping of players.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds like a really great opportunity there. So, Coach, I really appreciate you taking some time to come on and help preview this game and your team. Best of luck to you guys throughout the season.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.